I don't have an award show. The Oscars is happening right now, and I'm not watching it. I'm sitting here talking to you. Maybe I should have an awards show, though. Like, I feel like I would be a pretty good host. I would stand up there and crack witty jokes and look longingly off into the distance during the in memoriam section and just generally have a good time. I think I look at least decent in a tuxedo. And the first award we'd be handing out is the Idiot of the Week, right? The person that, they might be a solid person overall, but they just happen to make the dumbest decision of anybody for that given week. And it is in this video, I believe, because I have the memory of a goldfish and I can't remember what we talked about on this channel like 3 days ago. I believe we have found our Idiot of the Week, which is a hot start because it's Monday. But to be fair, this happened on Sunday in a Serie A match between Lecce and Verona. It didn't actually happen during the match. It happened right after the match. Now, this is an important match. It was. Very big 6-pointer in the bottom part of the table. If you're not familiar with the bottom part of Serie A, we've got Verona here after their 1-0 win over Lecce, which happened in this match. They're at 26 points. Lecce's at 25. Relegation's at 24. So, tempers are heated, right? Emotions are heavily involved. This is an important match, right? This is not just some sort of, honestly, most matches are important. I don't know why I'm trying to build up the specific importance of this one, but there's plenty of pressure, and that pressure is boiled over from our guy, Roberto De Aversa. Roberto De Aversa is the manager of Lecce, but he might not be for long, because after the match, which again was a 1-0 win for Verona on the day, I'm not making that up. Yes, there we go. A 1-0 win from Verona on the day. And then the match ends, and there's a bit of a fracas going on. Not like an actual pushing and shoving, just, a couple of players having a conversation that looks a little bit less than friendly. And then Roberto De Aversa, the coach of Lecce, decides to introduce himself. And here is how he opted to do so. Let me just pause it right here. This is the coach, and he's about to win Idiot of the Week. That's a headbutt. That's a headbutt directly into the jaw of a player on the other team. That is clear, obvious, captured on video, and seemingly unnecessary because at the start of this video, he's not even really involved in this. So that guy's looking at him, right? And he's decided to close all of this physical distance and then launch his forehead into the striker's chin. That is a bold executive decision. Now, I don't know what it is with footballers and heading things. Obviously, Zinedine Zidane's red card in the World Cup finals, the most famous incident like this, but this guy's not even one of the players. This is the freaking coach. I don't often, maybe it's because, the rules tell you can't use your hands. I don't often find myself in a position where my first instinct is to, and that would be dangerous. If that was my first instinct, that would be dangerous for a lot of people around me. I have a weapon. This is, military grade forehead. If I ever decided to use it, I'm pretty sure if I did this, it'd be like, Thanos snapping his fingers. I would have just launched whoever this guy is into the shadow realm. And I don't know why I'm saying whoever this guy is, because I actually know exactly who he is. It's a guy named Thomas Henry, right? And there's a little background behind this, because this happened, and then obviously a bunch of people started making statements about it. One of them is particularly hilarious. But so De Aversa's headbutting a guy named Thomas Henry, who was involved in this intense conversation, and his emotions just got the best of him. You see, Henry was arguing with a guy named Marin Pogracic, who is a defender on Lecce, and ostensibly De Aversa was walking over to break up the fight. But if we go back to the actual tape here, we see that Thomas Henry very early on is looking, I feel like we're analyzing the Zapruder film here, but he's looking directly at De Aversa, right? And so this is from an early point in this process. This is a showdown between Lecce's manager and the striker on Verona. And of course, De Aversa was asked about the fact that he headbutted Henry after the match, for which De Aversa was given a red card after the match, and so was Thomas Henry for some reason. I don't know if there's more to this footage that I just haven't seen, but the guy that got headbutted also received a red card. But this is the way De Aversa described it. He said, "Next Saturday, we have another big match against Salernitana, and I didn't want my players to be banned. So I went out to try and separate them from the opponents, and then the incident with Henry happened." Yes, well, it's the classic move of I don't want my players to be banned, so I myself am just going to get banned to distract the referee's attention from potentially banning the other players. He was about to hand one of them a card. If I hadn't come in, forehead first, then we would have been in some we would have been in some serious trouble. We would have been missing some players. But now I can finally take that vacation to the Amalfi Coast that I've been wanting to take for a long time. That's not what he said, believe it or not. He said, I've already apologized to Verona's management, which is fair. So he was aware immediately that he did something wrong, which is, probably the bruise on the forehead's probably a good sign. He apologized to Verona's management and said, as a coach and a father of 3 kids, I want to apologize for what happened. I love when people word apologies like this because these are almost entirely unrelated, at least the way that he worded it. Like, as a coach and a father of 3 kids, I want to apologize for. You could have just apologized for what I wanted to happen. Like, if you wanted to say, as a coach and a father of 3 kids, I need to set a better example, and I really apologize for what happened, that makes sense. But to just be like, I'm a coach, a father, and I am platinum on Apex Legends, and I apologize for what I just did. Like, the way the sentence is structured, I get distracted by silly things. The way the sentence is structured doesn't make much sense, does it? I'm a coach, a father of 3, and I've cooked my way through Betty Crocker's entire cookbook, and I just want you guys to know that I am sorry. The club obviously issued a statement that they were not happy. It's not like Lecce's having the best season anyways, and they went, U.S. Lecce, with reference to the episode involving the coach D'Aversa and the Verona player Henry, while assessing the situation of general nervousness at the end of the match. General nervousness. Strongly condemns the gesture of its coach as contrary to the principles and values of sport. Contrary to the principles and values of sport. It's about as grandiose as you could put that. I feel like it'd be pretty fair to just be like, hey, yeah, we like to have coaches that don't, headbutt people after matches. So we're going to have to take a look at this. We don't want people representing our club that way. But, you can go all the way with it. You can go like you're writing some sort of speech for the ages that's going to be passed down for hundreds of years, contrary to the principles and values of all sport, everywhere, all across the universe. And apparently, according to this report, there is serious consideration being had about D'Aversa in his job security, which I think I do think is entirely fair. I think having a coach that's headbutting play, that like kind of seeks it out too. We're not talking about a situation where he was cornered. We're talking about somebody that really sought out the confrontation, as much as he said after the match that he was going over there to try and break them up, and maybe he was. But by the time he got there, he was like a bull, and that dude's jaw was the red blanket. So that wasn't the best choice that he could have made. Now, if he was backed into a corner and there was like a giant fight going on and he happened to headbutt somebody, like, I don't think the coach should be dismissed for that. Obviously, you'd love for your coach to never be involved in a fight anyways, but for somebody to go out and seek out that kind of altercation, at least the way that it seemed, that he was basically a heat-seeking forehead missile, then I think that's an entirely fair thing. I'm not rooting for anybody to lose their job, but I'm assuming this guy will be able to land on his feet and find another coaching job somewhere else at a lower level, or maybe as an assistant coach where the pressures of being a head coach, the pressures of being the head guy, well, that was a poor choice of words, where the pressures of being the lead guy are not too much for him. But I promise you that somebody said something stupid, and now we can finally get to that something stupid that was said. Because in this ESPN article that I have done you the favor of reading, I'm learning how to read. We just got through Green Eggs and Ham. It says, while replays appeared to show that it was indeed a headbutt, D'Aversa later said in a post on Instagram that it was not. Now, obviously, the post on Instagram is in Italian. We can translate it to English, or we can just use the fact that ESPN has it for us. I was wrong, and I apologize. I got carried away and lost lucidness, but not to the point of hitting another person. Maybe if this was 1897 and only a few people actually saw what happened, but you can see, this is very clear. You see his head move, not like he's trying to avoid you, but when your forehead goes forward, you see his head move. It gets knocked. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Not to the point of hitting the other person. What's the definition of hitting another person? I must not know it, clearly. But that doesn't make any sense because I do a word of the day after every single stream. I know a lot of words and their definitions. Although hitting has never been one of them. Hitting another person would be making contact, forehead to jaw. with that other person. Why would you say this? This is Serie A. There were cameras and witnesses. And like, I don't believe sometimes that what I'm reading is real, that these are real human beings that are saying these things. And I think if you are attempting to save your job, the best course of action is going, I made a terrible mistake, apologize to the guy. He did apologize to the team, to his credit, and just try to move on as quickly as possible. But attempting to deny that the sky is blue here, that you headbutted the guy, really, I mean, that's a tough row to hoe, dude. Once again, I apologize to Henry, to Lecce, Verona, and Italian fans, the referees, to the two clubs, my management, my staff, and my team. Anytime you say once again, I feel like that also kind of lessens the impact of an apology, because I don't know if it's fair. This is probably entirely unfair, but anytime I see once again, I always read it as like, as per my previous email, like, I once again apologized. That could just be a me thing, but I think that this apology from De Versa is probably not the best stick the landing, get out of this situation. Uno reverse card that he might have been hoping that it was. Trying to point out that you didn't hit the other person when you were on video hitting the other person is not a great point to begin to rebuild trust between you and the management. And I wouldn't be surprised if this guy was removed from his post. But hopefully he's able to turn it around, or maybe if they fire him as a coach, they can bring him in as a center back, because they could use that kind of aggression on the field. I mean, they're only a point above relegation right now. All right. Anyways, update morning later. He did get fired, so that did not take long. He got fired.